You know how this works. Count backwards, 3, 2, 1, so you can chop it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey, I'm glad to be back with you for the Do Good Leadership Labs podcast. I'm Mike Kahn, and I'm excited to be at Clinton Middle School today with some rock and roll 7th graders and Miss Cox. So why don't we start over here, and you tell us your name and what grade you're in, and then something you really enjoy doing.
My name is Connor. I'm in 7th grade and I love playing basketball.
Okay, who's your favorite? That's awesome. Who's your favorite team?
OKC.
Fantastic. My dude. You and me both. All right?
My name is Eli, and I'm in the 7th grade, and I like playing football.
Who's your favorite football team?
Probably the 49ers,
Okay, with Jimmy G or without Jimmy G?
with Jimmy G.
yeah, because that dude's rock and roll. Maybe he'll be back for the playoffs.
My name's Raiden, and I'm in the 7th grade, and I like trying new things.
You like trying new things. That's awesome. I love that, Raiden. What's something new that you've tried recently?
Wrestling. I've never played wrestling before.
Really?
And I just did it this year.
So that just started, right?
Yeah.
So have you had any matches yet?
Mhm.
You have?
Yeah.
Did you win?
I got 4th place in both my tournaments.
Dude, that's awesome. Way to go. So you think you're going to keep wrestling in 23?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, because the season just started, you can't pull out now, right? Well, that's great. I love to. When we meet again, I want to hear how it goes. So if I forget to ask you, please come and tell me how it goes. I think that's awesome. Way to go. Way to do something new. Miss Cox.
My name is Miss Cox. I teach gifted and talented, kindergarten through 8th grade. And something about me is I love going on adventures.
Fantastic. What kind of adventure? Like rock climbing adventures, or like what? Give us some adventures you've enjoyed going on.
Let's see. I like rock climbing, but like local and big. So either
Okay.
like hiking, rock climbing, going on cruises, going to visit historical places. I do a little bit of all of it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And you're K through 8?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're at the top end of my spectrum. I'll
Yeah.
go all the way down to the little ones too.
Oh, that's fantastic. What's your favorite thing about seeing that wide span of students?
Knowing that I get to see them again next year, and we can like do
Mhm.
even more things because I'll have that relationship.
Yeah,
with them.
just building on. I love that. That's great. I love that you guys are sharing some of these things today. Our talk, we just had a talk a few minutes ago, and it was about the difference in competing versus comparing. And I think whether it's wrestling or football or basketball or adventures, like whatever it is, there are lots of opportunities for us to talk ourselves out of doing something good. Have you ever had an idea, wanted to do something good, but you talked yourself out of it?
Yeah.
I know I have,
Yeah.
right? So when what I'd like for you to do, I'd like for you just to share a little bit about one thing. Doesn't have to be the biggest thing, doesn't have to be the smallest thing, just one thing that you talked yourself out of doing and why. I'll start first. I talked about, we'll go with tap dancing, because today I just did a tap dance, you probably got to put in quotation marks. I talked myself out of doing it for 24 years because of what people would say. They didn't even say it. I just imagined what they would say and the jokes they would make, and so it's something I wanted to try, but I didn't because I just didn't want to hear all that noise. So now they still may be talking, but I've done this thing, and I don't feel like I know I'm not the best at it, but I feel like I'm giving my best, and that makes me really proud. So what's something that you didn't do that you talked yourself out of?
I wanted to do travel basketball.
Yeah.
But I talked myself out of it
Okay, travel basketball is kind of a big deal. Why did you talk yourself out of it?
because I thought I wasn't going to do good.
Yeah, because you thought that you weren't going to do good, or even if you did do good, maybe it wasn't as good as somebody else who would try out. So did you not even try out for it then?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay, and how did it go?
Yeah. But,
So you were kind of talking yourself out of it, but then
Yeah.
you went for it and you tried out anyway?
Mhm.
And then did you make the team?
Yes.
That's awesome. So you almost talked yourself out of something that you wouldn't have even gotten a chance to play, but now you've been playing. Have you been playing lots of tournaments?
No, it ended last year.
Okay. Did you have a good experience with it?
Yeah.
And so you almost missed out on that, right? Because you almost talked yourself out of it. I think that's a very common story, Connor. I appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
So one time, me and my friend, Frontier City, right?
Yes, I know
the
Frontier
roller
City.
coasters, right?
Okay, you're
And,
speaking my language
and
now.
I was really scared, and I was talking myself out of riding because I was scared, and I missed out on a lot of fun, and I regretted it as soon as I left.
Dude, I think so many people have a story like that. Because you're already at Frontier City. You don't have to go there. You're already there. And then your friends are riding the roller coasters, right?
Mhm.
And then you're like, I'll just hold everybody's purse. Or what? Like,
Yeah.
I'll hang over here with everybody else. I've done that a lot too. I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Especially really fast. And whenever you turn me upside down, I just might throw up on people. And if it's the loop where I throw up, and there's a chance I might throw up on myself. Like, how's that even gonna go? Like, I've done that same thing, talking myself out. And what I really like that you said is really honest and vulnerable. I like that you said, I instantly regretted it. Not because I want you to regret stuff.
Yeah.
But you said, I regretted it as soon as we left.
Yeah.
Why do you think you regretted it as soon as you left?
Because when we were just riding home, I just didn't have much to talk about, and it was just like they were talking about stuff, and I kind of felt left out and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the worst, like for me, again, I have a story very similar to that. And the worst part for me about that is they didn't say you can't ride. I chose not to ride.
Yeah.
And when I chose not to ride, it's like the fear that I had, I let the fear win. I don't know if that's how it was for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was for me. And you said then on the way home, I didn't really have much to talk about with everybody.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Have you been back to Frontier City since that time?
Yeah.
Have you ridden any roller coasters
Yeah,
since then?
I've
Look at
seen
your face. Yeah, you have. I think that's awesome because you missed out on this one thing. And then the next time you're like, nope, I already got this t-shirt. I'm not doing this again. And you jumped in and then you rode roller coasters. Which was your favorite roller coaster
The
ride?
Diamondback.
The Diamondback. You almost didn't even let me finish. That's awesome. Like, this is the Diamondback. Would you go back and ride that one again?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's awesome. Man, I think that's a big deal. And I think a lot of us have had that conversation with ourselves where we talk ourselves out of doing something. But what you did is you didn't let that win. And I think that's awesome. Really proud of you. Thanks for sharing that. Eli.
Yep.
What do you think, Ray?
So like all of my friends play baseball and I don't play baseball.
Okay.
And last year I was gonna do baseball, but I thought myself out of doing it because I thought I wasn't gonna be able to I was just gonna sit on the bench because I've never played it before. Ever.
And so you were going to play, but then you didn't.
No, I didn't
Right.
play.
Now, baseball season, I think, happens after wrestling season, right? So it's possible for you to wrestle. Is it wrestle or wrestle? Like in
Wrestle.
Clinton, it's wrestle. Okay, because where I'm from, like it's people would say it'd be wrestling when they're talking about it, but when it's in season, it's wrestle. Like there's for sure an A in that word. I'm like, there's still chair because I don't know how that works, right? But you could still. So it's possible for you to wrestle, and then when that's over, you could play baseball. But the question I have is, do you even want to play baseball?
See, that's the thing. I don't really know yet.
Not sure, and you're not sure because you never have.
Played before.
You haven't played it. Have you never played in Little League or anything?
Mm-mm.
So it's kind of part of the fear of the unknown, but there's also fear of missing out at the same time, right? Well, I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer, but I do want you to think about what I really want to do. Do I want to try it? And then talk to your folks, your parents, guardians, whoever takes care of it. You guys work that all out. But I think you already know I wanted to do it before, but I chose not to do it because I didn't want to sit on the bench and like because I haven't played before. But you're for sure going to be on the bench. You'll just be at the bench in the stands if you don't play, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing. Whether you choose to play baseball or not play baseball, I just don't want your decision to be based on fear. And that's something, listen, I say that to the guy in the mirror too. Hey Mike, don't let this decision just be based on fear. But I think that's cool. Thanks for sharing that with us. Ms. Cox, what about you?
National Board Certification. It's a thing
Wow.
that teachers can do to show other teachers around the country that they're really good. And I talked myself out of doing it for a couple of years, and then I went to the meeting on Saturday, and I was still trying to talk myself out of it while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I thought, well, I'm already here. I've already come too far.
Yeah.
I'm just going for it.
So you signed up to do it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Way to go.
And I was still trying to talk myself out of it
Of
after
course.
I was signed up to do it.
Right.
But
It's just however much money. No big deal.
yeah, but I was like, nope, you're already here. You have to stick it through now.
That's so great. And when you're in that moment, do you hear yourself saying some things that you said to your students over and over and over again about being courageous?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Like, or I'll say something to them, and I'll be like, oh, that can apply to me too. I was like, I should really take my own advice.
I think that is such a key thing. I mean, I'm a professional speaker, consultant, and coach, and I'm a great coach. If Mike would just listen, if I would just listen, I give great advice, but the person who listens to it the least is me. And I think that's just something that we've got to battle through, because when you're talking about basketball, now you've got a history, man. I was pretty nervous, but man, I can dribble between my legs. I can play good defense. I can be an assist guy and a points guy, but more than that, I could be a rebounder. You want a rebounding point guard? What position you play?
Point and
I was guessing. You can jump in, and that's all about effort. Hey, I'm not the tallest dude, but I can for sure outwork folks. Same with baseball. But you're finding that with wrestling, right? I haven't done this before, but man, some stuff that you have done before is helping you be really, really good at that. And your courage to ride the roller coaster, the Diamondback roller coaster, is going to help you in football in ways that you don't even know about yet. And I think it's the same kind of thing. The more we develop these muscles of courage, the more that and it's going to crash and burn, because it could end not well for you on the test.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you get a chance to take it again if you
Yes.
want. I think that's the thing. We think that it's so loud, that fear is so final, but it's not. And I love, Eli, I love your story, because you're like, man, I really missed out. And then the whole way home, everybody's talking about how great it was, and I'm just like, well, I mean, I had some Dr. Pepper or whatever you did, right? Yeah. It's an entirely different thing when you've gotten on stage, you've gotten in the game, you've gone to the meeting and you signed up, and then you show back up. It's one thing to intend to do something good, but it's an entirely different thing to actually do the good and carry that out. And I think you guys, well, even before we started recording, we were debating if Miss Cox was going to join us or not, and then one of y'all said something to her that she said to you several times. Well, who was it, and what did you say to Miss Cox?
I said I think you should help join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Razzle
because what?
Razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle is the thing, right? And when I heard razzle dazzle, I mean, I thought about this one thing, but you guys, you said that in class several times, right?
Mhm.
So that's also a price of leadership. Whenever you put some of your words, your content out there, sometimes people are like, oh, that's really good. That's right. Miss Cox, I'm going to razzle dazzle today. And then sometimes they're like, well, Miss Cox, razzle dazzle, right? You're like, oh, good. I'm so glad I'm so good at my job. And now you're throwing it back in my face. Let me ask you this question. And this time we'll start with Ray.
Okay.
Why do you think, well, two questions. One, do you think middle schoolers struggle with comparing themselves to other people? And if yes, why?
Yes, because there's so many different people on social media that that just, it looks like when they're on social media, it looks like they have perfect lives, but they've gone to so much stuff that we don't see that helps them look like that, and then it's just like, well, we should just be able to start out having a perfect life.
Yeah, that's really good. Eli, what do you think? Same question. Do you think middle schoolers struggle with comparing themselves to each other, and then why?
I think yes, because in the athletics department and this stuff, if you want to do something good, you try to compare yourself to them, and you try to do good, and you try to work towards that, and that's why I think you compare yourself.
Absolutely, because you think the good I can do, is it going to be good enough? Which is what you talked about with basketball tryouts. I'm going to try out, but am I actually good enough to make the team? So, Connor, whenever you think about comparison, do you think that middle schoolers struggle with that? And if so, why do you think they do?
Yes, because we try and be better than everybody else.
Instead of trying to be my best, I just want to be better than you. Why? Because that way I don't have to say, I might be on the bench, but I'm not at the very end on the bench. It's that sort of thing, and that's not just a middle school thing. I mean, Ms. Cox, how have you seen that in your life of people comparing what good they do with the good that other people do?
Oh, that happens all the time. Y'all are gonna grow up, and especially with social media, like you said, you're gonna look. Or when I first started teaching, I would look at everybody else's classrooms and be like, man, I'm not as good as them. And they're 20-year teachers, and I'm a first-year teacher. But I was like, I should be as good as a 20-year teacher. Come on. And so I had to learn to close my door and stop comparing and fight against me every day, not them.
That's so good. That's so good. There's this author that I'm incredibly jealous of. I look up to him, even though he's 5'6". He makes lots of tall jokes, but He's not that tall. His name's John Acuff, and he's the guy who wrote the book that I mentioned earlier in the year, Your New Playlist. He wrote it with his 2 daughters. And he talks all the time, don't compare your beginning with someone else's middle. And whatever that means, for me as a speaker, I've got a book that I'm working on. I've actually got 3 books that I'm working on. 2 of them are going to be done almost at exactly the same time. And then the next one is going to be done hopefully just a few months after that. And I'm so excited, except then I get so frustrated and nervous. Haven't even sold any books. Mike, it's still in your computer. It's not even out. Well, how's John Acuff? He's a New York Times best-selling author, Angry Eyebrow. I'm trying to do what he's doing, but he's doing it better than me. Well, he's been doing it for 13 years. I'm still pretty new to it. And I love what you said. The way that you fixed it for you, the way you dealt with it for you, was to shut the door. Because then I'm not wandering eyes and wondering, oh, how come it looks so good over there? What are you doing over there? Well, we're not competing for Christmas parties. Well, they're bringing like snow angel cookies. They're all fluffy. Like, well, it's not about that. They're not trying to beat you. And if you're trying to beat me as far as a tap dancer goes, way to go. You got it. Pretty much you put on some shoes and you take steps and you don't fall down. If you do fall down, you get back up. But it's not a competition for you against me. It's not a competition for me against you. It's a competition for me today versus me yesterday and the day before and the day before. And I think that's really, really key. I started playing football when I was in 4th grade. And I started every game I ever played until I got to college. I played college football, but I redshirted, which means I practiced all the time, but I didn't get to play. And I thought that was really frustrating for me because I was always really good at this one thing. And then it was really a gift to be able to redshirt and then be able to play longer if that's what I wanted to do. But at first I didn't really have a good way of handling it because I was always on the field. I was always doing really good at it. My point for you is, and I didn't handle it well, but my point for you is whenever you're doing good, don't compare it to somebody else. Like we've talked about it a couple of different times, a couple of different ways, and we'll keep talking about it because it's such a big deal. And I want you to feel seen and feel valued, not just for if I'm on the team or if I'm not on the team, but for who you are, not just for everything that you do. Let me ask you this question. If you could try anything that's legal, what would you try to do and why? What would you try? What's something new that you'd like to try and why? This Eli, we never start with the person in the middle. Today we're starting with the one in the middle. Why? What's something you'd like to try and why?
I would love to go to Australia and live there.
Wow. Fantastic. Why?
It's just because it's so beautiful and it's always what I wanted to do.
Yeah? You ever seen the movie Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever eaten at the Outback?
No.
No? Well, before you move to Australia, you might want to go eat it. I'm kidding. I think it's awesome that you would love to not just go there, but to go and live there. Doesn't mean you got to live there forever,
yeah.
But to go try. I think that would be really cool. If you do that, like before you go, I'd love to know that so I could get your address. I'll send you a postcard and you can send me one back. I'd love to have a postcard from Eli living in Australia,
Okay.
if that's something that you choose to do. Connor, what about you?
I would love to go out of the country and just explore somewhere.
Yeah? Any country in particular?
Mm-mm.
Just out of the USA, which means you have to have a passport, which you can get, right? And then I think that would be really, really cool. And then for you to, I don't know if you want to document it with your phone or you write in a journal or whatever it is, but for you to have you'll have these memories that you make if you ever go and do that. And those memories are really going to be helpful. They'll be really, really fun for you. So if you think once you're out of the country, wherever you are, you're like, I want to take a selfie. People are going to look at me like, oh, he's a tourist. Yeah, they will. Who cares? Take the picture anyway, and then you'll be able to remember it as long as you want. I think that would be a really cool thing. Again, if you do that, if I see you before, then let me know where you're going, and I'll give you maybe $2. You can send me a postcard from wherever you are or something. I don't know how. Depends on where you go, I guess, how much postcards are. But anyway, all right, what about you?
Kind of the same thing. I want to go to Florida. I've always wanted to live close to the beach.
Yeah, so you're a beach dude. Have you been to the beach on vacation or anything?
No.
Okay. Have you been to the mountains? Are you mountain
Yeah.
people? You're mountain people? I don't think you have to choose. My family and I, we're beach people. Like every year in the summertime, we go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we just, we sleep, we go to the beach, we go to the pool, and we eat. And that's nearly all of what we do. So my dude, if you do get to go to the beach, have fun, have a great time. This was the first year we went where some of my kids were more on their devices. Like, hey, listen, you can do this at home, you can do it here, but me and your mom, we're going out to the water. Like, it's just one of those things. So, Ms. Cox, the adventurous person, the one who likes adventure, what's next on your list that you'd like to try to do something?
Well, I booked a cruise. I've always wanted to go on a cruise, and so I was like, I'm tired of talking about doing it.
Yeah.
So I think a week ago, I just got online and I was like, boop, and I just
Wow,
booked it.
that's
So
awesome.
That's my next.
It's been a big
step
week for you with the national certification and booking a cruise all at once. That's great.
Yeah, I just kind of YOLO'd it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking about it. I'm just gonna do it because you can talk yourself out of everything for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
But you only, you can get more money, but you can't get more time to go on a cruise.
that's exactly right. So where's your cruise to?
Cozumel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it leaves out of Galveston. We're beach people, so
Yeah.
I'll probably
Oh,
go
that's
early
great.
and spend a day at the beach. But yeah,
So is it soon or is it
it's
after
next
school?
Christmas.
Oh, look at there.
See, I've got
Merry
plenty
Christmas to
of
me.
time to
That's so
like pay
great.
for it.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was thinking, and
Sure.
then just go. Like, don't let life hold you back, guys.
I love what you said there. I mean, you'll always find reasons to talk yourself out of whatever. Doing good. And sometimes the ability to talk yourself out of something will keep you out of trouble. So keep flexing that muscle. Keep learning how that works. But also, I would say, be aware. Like one of the best things you can ever develop is awareness. Your self-awareness and then awareness of everybody else. Especially I think sports are great for that. Like in basketball, you could dribble all by yourself, but it's easier for you to dribble if someone sets a screen. It's easier for you to dribble when you're going to do a pick and roll, and you don't have to shoot it 6 feet behind the three-point line. Like you'll be able to pass it to someone. It's easier for you to play defense when you've got some help or when you're being the help defense. Like there's all these different things that I love that sports teaches you. In football, I mean, all those sort of things. Like what position you play in football?
I play right guard and defensive end.
Yeah, you do. He says with chest up and everything. Absolutely. And you ever pulling guard plays?
Yeah, I have.
You like that?
Yeah.
Especially when they don't see you coming. It's a beautiful thing, right? Like the team sports help you, yes, become a great teammate, but they also help you more with your courage and things that you'll see in life in so many different ways. And I think wrestling has a place for that as well, even though it's a team sport, but your individual activities, your individual matches, but still we go and we win as a team and then we don't win as a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a really big deal. So when you're looking for these opportunities that you have, look at the opportunities to do good. And I think also really important, when you see someone else doing good or being courageous, don't assume that they know that they've been very courageous. Like encourage them. Like you know how to tell if someone needs encouragement? If they're breathing. Like if someone's breathing, they need encouragement. Out of all the people, of course I'm married to a teacher, so I'm really partial to teachers, but especially right now in this climate, anytime you can say some encouraging words to your teacher, whether they're sitting across the table from you or not, like that's a really good thing, because the only reason the teachers are here is because they're for you. It's not because they're making that money, not because they're going to go buy that sports car. I mean, maybe you buy a sports car, that'd be great. Yeah. But it's also not because they say, you know what profession am I going to get the most respect from people? Because a lot of times you see it where people are not being respectful, and even sometimes maybe I was one of those kids at times where I was like, I got, Mr. Khan, will you please not sit on the desk anymore? Yes, I heard that almost every day. So there are some times, that doesn't mean you're a horrible human being, but there are some times when you try to do something just to get the laugh, or you try to do something that you think, oh, this would be great, and it goes badly. When that happens, just own it and say, man, I'm sorry, Ms. Cox, or I'm sorry, whoever you disrespected, because that's such a big thing. This is about culture. Really, what we're talking about today is about culture. And culture is the way we do what we do and the way we allow it to be done. And I don't want you to do what you do out of fear of it not working out or you missing out. 24 years since I saw the movie that inspired me to want to take a tap dance lesson until the time I actually took one. All based on things that people never even said, because what could they say? So whether it's national certification, whether it's the cruise, whether it's all the things that you're talking about, whether it's back to Frontier City and you're like, Diamondback was small potatoes. Now I want something else. Whatever that is, just lean into it and be courageous, man. Be strong and be encouraging, and you can absolutely do that. And when you don't do it well, just get up, dust yourself off, and we're going to go again. Exactly what Eli said with the roller coaster. You didn't do it the one time, and you're like, oh man, I got nothing really to talk about. You guys go ahead and talk about how great it was and how you almost threw up because of this and that. But then the next time you had lots to talk about. I think that's awesome. Any final words, Connor, we'll start with you. Any final words for middle schoolers everywhere about how to be courageous and compete, not compare? Anything you want to leave us with?
Don't compare yourself to other people that have been doing it for a long time.
That's really good. That's really wise. Eli?
If anybody just breaks you down, just ignore it and just keep on going.
Yeah, that's great.
Focusing on yourself is a big main goal. Like, turn on everybody else and focus on yourself.
Wow. I'm going to take you guys on the road. This is really good stuff. Ms. Cox?
If you fail, just try again, because you might fail.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're not defined by your most recent fear or your most recent failure or your most recent mistake. I think that's really good. And you guys have done a fantastic job today. Thank you so much for making time to be on the podcast. Do Good Leadership Labs podcast. Go and do good. Because everybody can do good, but nobody can do the good you can do the way you can do it. And we're out. Say that as fast as you can. Everybody do good, but nobody can do the good you can do the way you can do it.
Everybody can do good, but nobody can do good the way you do it.
Okay, good. Eli?
Everyone can do good, and nobody can do it the way you can do it.
Okay, Connor?
Everybody can do good. No way that you can do it.
Yeah, that's really good. Ms. Cox, as fast as you can say it.
Everybody can do good, but nobody can do the good that you do the way you do it.
That's perfect. Way to go.